All right, hello, welcome back to Unqualified Analysis. The show is zero qualifications, zero credentials, and you know what? Zero energy left in the body. We're a little bit tired today. The mind state is lower than usual, which is saying something. I'm a sad boy sometimes, man. I'm a sad boy sometimes, but you know what? We're talking about football. It's time to get happy. Time to get excited because, I mean, we're getting right into the teeth of the NFL season. We're already halfway through the college football season, believe it or not. I mean, wild, crazy to think about. But I mean, we're just scratching the surface of the NFL season, man. It is a long way to go, and I'm enjoying it more and more, man. I'm looking forward to the way this thing is going to turn out. But for right now, we're starting to figure out who these teams are. And you know what? Without further ado, oh well, actually, first and foremost, since it's not a college football show this time around, it's the NFL show. I just want to quickly hit on a couple things here. First and foremost, I mean, there were really it was just two things, two quotes from coaches in well, I guess one was a coach's show, one was a press conference. First off, James Franklin telling Corey Geiger, I think longtime Penn State reporter, that he's just speaking Japanese. I don't know what you're talking about. In response to a question about do you just like tell Drew Waller to throw it deep no matter what? Hilarious, must see video, hilarious soundbite there. So if you haven't seen that one, highly encourage you to go watch that. And Mark Stoops, after getting just blown out of the water by Georgia this past week, goes into his coach's show or something like that. I don't know exactly what it was, but kind of tongue in cheek said, "Hey, if the fans don't like that we got beat by 40 points, you just go ahead and donate to the NIL collective, donate to the school. Just go ahead and donate." I think is what he said. He didn't say specifically where to donate. It's probably NIL collective though. It's saying, you know, Georgia bought some good players and you can do that now. It was all kind of tongue in cheek. People got up in arms about it. That's the reality of the sport, though. He's exactly right. If they want better players on the team, you probably need a little bit more NIL dollars to get that done. And it's not that's kind of oversimplifying it. That is one way to get the job done. I will say though, the NIL money does not necessarily make up for the disparity in facilities, the disparity in quality of coaching staff, all that sort of stuff. That's the brand, by the way, too. That's like, I think even if you make all things equal in the facilities, in the NIL money, I do think that Georgia would still recruit better than Kentucky just because the brand of Georgia. Excuse me, my goodness. I got a caffeinated beverage here just locked and loaded because I'm recording later than usual. And it is making me all sorts of gassy right now, so I apologize for that. But I mean, I'll tell you what, even if they had all the similar resources that Kentucky had, the same facilities as Georgia, same NIL money, the brand matters in this case, and I think Georgia would still be able to recruit better, not just because of the brand, because, I mean, Kirby Smart is the best coach in America right now. That's kind of neither here nor there, though. I've talked enough on this front as I put my phone over there. Don't need the distractions right now. My mind is already a miles away at the moment. So yeah, I just wanted to hit on those because by the time I get to next Tuesday, it'll already be gone in the wind. We'll be thinking about that next week of college football. Hilarious soundbite there from James Franklin though. That's must watch video right there. So yeah, without further ado. This is the NFL edition of Unqualified Analysis, so let's get into the Week 5 slate that was. And you know what? It didn't turn out bad for us betting-wise, but let's just get into it now, shall we? And alrighty then, we'll just go chronologically like we usually do. Nothing crazy really happened over the past week or so, outside of just the usual football stuff. So we're just going regular chronological order here. Bears beat the Commies 40-20 last Thursday night. This was a bet I was very confident. I thought the Commanders would cover with ease at -5.5, and I was wrong. Dick Butkus, by the way, rest in peace, one of the all-time greats in the history of the league. He died shortly before this game, and you know what? You just had to know the bet was toast whenever you found out it was a death game. They played hard for the old man. And it is what it is. It is what it is right now. I mean, Justin Fields, I think like 8 touchdowns, 1 interception over the last 2 games. Had other 4 touchdowns in this one. 3 of them were to DJ Moore, who went out of his mind in this game. 3 touchdowns, 230 yards, 8 receptions. He had like 200 in the first half. He was absolutely balling in this one. That Commies defense is not looking good so far this year, especially going into a game against the Bears, which should be a get-right game in a lot of circumstances. They go in there and they lay an absolute egg, pretty much. I mean, 5.6 yards per carry as a team for the Chicago Bears in this one. Khalil Herbert had 7.6 yards per carry. Washington really got away from the run. You can't really blame them on that one. Only 29 yards on the day, though, on 10 carries, which should tell you just about how much they did with that. I mean, Sam Howell, though, not a terrible game, all things considered. You know, a lot of it was facing, well, one, the Bears defense, which is already not good, and 2, facing prevent defense, which is prone to giving up even more yards, but 388 through the air, 7.6 yards per attempt, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, didn't lose a fumble either. So, you know, nice little mix of TD to interception ratio there. But yeah, this was just utter dominance from the Bears from start to finish, man. I mean, it was 27-3 at halftime, and that was pretty much all she wrote. You know, the Commies made a good go of it in the third quarter to kind of claw their way back in it, but the Bears just put them away in the fourth quarter, man. There's not really much you can do when Justin Fields, I mean, he didn't have an efficient day. I mean, he went 15 of 29, but 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, just short of 10 yards per attempt on the day. I mean, he was absolutely slinging it when he was connecting with guys. Obviously, still inconsistent accuracy at times, but pushing the ball down the field more and had a much more explosive offense than we've seen most of the year thus far, outside of them getting Denver last week or the previous week, and then them getting the Commies this past week. So yeah, I don't really think much better of the Bears. I think a little bit lower of the Commies, though. I think this is one of those games where you just you're at home, it's in a prime time spot, the stadium is pretty much sold out. You got to win this one. You absolutely got to win this one. Against a team like the Bears, too, coming on the road. I get it that the Bears are playing hard for the death game with Dick Butkus, but this is one you just simply got to win if you're the Washington Commies flat out. Lone bright spot, though, and bright spot so far this season, Chase Young. I mean, he had a half a sack in this one, so you know, not the flashiest numbers in the world, but he's top 10 in pass rush win rate, which is one of those stats that I actually do put a lot of faith into. That seems like a pretty cut and dry sort of stat. Top 10 in pass rush win rate this year. Getting production yet again. You're wondering if this would ever happen again after losing all that time with the ACL injury and the recovery that didn't quite go as planned after the ACL injury. Seems like he's back in the pre-injury form right now, and you add him in with Montez Sweat, sack and a half, Hail State, baby. Jonathan Allen got a sack of his own. Deron Payne is still around there as well. I mean, the defensive line is not the issue here. It's just literally everything else on that defense. It's a shit show over there with the Washington Commies, and in that division, they're going to be hard pressed to make a playoff run with that defense. I think the offense. Still, even in a loss to the Bears in this one, I think the offense is really acquitting itself well. Eric Bieniemy is really kind of showing that it's not all Andy Reid over there with the Chiefs. I think the offensive coordinator has a lot to do with the play caller specifically, because Eric Bieniemy was calling plays for a couple years before he jumped ship over to the Washington Commanders. I think he's acquitting himself quite well this year, and probably putting himself in line to maybe make a run at a head coaching job here at some point here in the near future. But outside of that, still feels like Ron Rivera is a bit of a dead man walking over there at the head man position. And hey, maybe it seems like it was a rather convenient hire there to have a possible head coaching candidate, Eric Bieniemy, in the building, but feels like a thing where they're just going to kind of promote it from within and put Eric Bieniemy at that head spot once they do eventually, inevitably move on from Ron Rivera, probably Jack Del Rio too, probably. This season has not been nearly as good as last season. Maybe he needs to start talking. Someone in the Washington media or some enterprising fan that knows what's good for him. Maybe they need to start asking about January 6th a little bit more. Ask him about the Trump indictments. That's the one. That's the one right there. You ask him about the Trump indictments. What does he think about the Justice Department? You're going to get some good quotes, and once you get good quotes from Jack Del Rio, he's got his back against the wall once again. I think you're going to start getting better defense. I think that's my solution to the Washington defensive woes. Just have Jack Del Rio say some shit into a microphone again. That's cut and dry, simple. You want to go to a Super Bowl? You want to have a playoff caliber defense? Just have Jack Del Rio talking about the dust-ups at the Capitol, about how they're framing Downey T with these indictments. Just that's the way you got to do this. Some enterprising fan needs to get on their high horse, start asking the hard questions, and having him have some hard answers in return. That's all I got to say about that. With that, though, feels like we're pretty much done with that Thursday night game. Probably spent too much time on it as well. So let's move on to the Sunday games. First off, the Jaguars playing at home in London against the Buffalo Bills. And what do you know? Home field advantage is a bitch there for you. The Jaguars win 25-20. I am still not sure if the Jaguars are good. They're 3-2 now, I think, tied at the top of the AFC South, if I'm not mistaken. I think they're not the only 3-2 team. My goodness, I'm just so gassy, so gassy. Yes. Them and the Colts, interestingly enough, are tied at 3-2 at the top of the division. Jacksonville, still top to bottom, is the best team. I'm just so confused with what I see on a weekly basis from the Jacksonville Jaguars. It probably all kind of stems from the inconsistency of Trevor Lawrence. I mean, he had the no interceptions in this game, over 300 yards, but lost 2 fumbles as well. Fumbled a third time, but ended up recovering it. Has been up and down throughout the course of this season. Same thing with Calvin Ridley. Whenever he's on and they're both on, it seems like things are going well. Things are going gangbusters for the Jacksonville Jaguars. But when one or both of them is off, it's just who the hell even knows. Travis Etienne, though, that was the guy that won them this game. 136 yards on the ground, 5.2 yards per carry, 2 touchdowns on the day. So if you want to give a game ball to one guy, it was Travis Etienne in this one. Really kind of a rock fight for most of the game. He was 11-7 at halftime. No score in the third quarter, and then all of a sudden in the fourth, I mean, Jacksonville scores 2 touchdowns. Buffalo scores 2 touchdowns as well. I mean, it just starts. It's a scramble to the finish as you get down towards the end there, and yeah, Buffalo just can't pull this one out. Jaguars get a big win over on their home stadium in Tottenham, I think it is. Usually they're in the London Stadium. I don't know. It's all in London, I suppose. But yep, there you go. Jacksonville gets a big win here, and Buffalo, by the way, they lose Matt Milano in this game, starting inside linebacker. Really the glue that holds together that run defense, I would say. Now that Tremaine Edmonds is out of town with the Bears now. He wasn't the only loss, though. I think Matt Milano is probably out for the season. I think he had some sort of leg fracture, knee injury, something like that. Probably going to sideline him for the rest of the season. Starting defensive lineman as well, Daquan Jones, or Daquan Jones? I don't know how to pronounce that, but one of those two. Daquan Jones, we're just going to say, probably out for the season as well. He got a torn pec that's going to require surgery. So, I mean, injuries just adding up for that Bills team. Already lost Tre'Davious White for the season with an Achilles injury, their number 1 corner. Still got those safeties in the back end, so probably going to be able to hold it together for now in the passing game, but how long before they start really feeling the weight of those injuries? We're going to have to wait and see, but it's not looking great for that defense right now as far as depth is concerned. That will probably come back to haunt them later in the season when they start facing playoff caliber competition. For right now, I do still think the Bills are a playoff team, but with those injuries, I just have a hard time. I'm going to need to see it a couple times or several times from the defense to really believe that they can still make it all the way to a championship. Josh Allen can take them as far as they need to, though. I mean, 3 touchdowns in this one, almost 360 through the air. He's damn near unstoppable when he's at the height of his powers. So, I mean, there's that. Same thing with going back to the Joe Burrow quote from, I don't remember if it was this offseason or a previous offseason. A reporter asked him, how long do you think this window could be open? And Burrow responded, as long as I'm here, the window is open. Same thing with Josh Allen over there in Buffalo. So, I mean, it's never a 0% possibility that they're going to win a Super Bowl, but those injuries on defense are certainly not going to help. And in a division with Miami, where the next time they play Miami, they have to go to Miami, it's going to be tough. It is going to be really tough. And Miami, even with losing Devon Achane for the next 4 games or so, we'll get to that in just a minute, they've got the strongest team in the division right now. They're kind of rising above the rest of the crowd at this point. But one thing at a time. Buffalo Bills get a tough loss. Jaguars get a big win. I think still not out of the woods yet, obviously. Only 5 games into the season, but that AFC South is kind of up for grabs, anyone's ball game right now. But let's keep it moving. Oh, no. Oh, yeah, we're good. We're good. On to the 1 o'clock games, folks. Texans go into Atlanta, and they lose a nail-biter to the Falcons. Desmond Ridder threw for 329 yards, I think his first 300-yard game in the NFL. Apparently, he has not lost at home since high school, I want to say. I don't think he lost a single game at home in college. Has not lost at home yet in the NFL. Crazy streak of success for Desmond Ridder. Although he has not been the reason that they have been winning these games. So take that for what it is. Kyle Pitts, by the way, not a bad game. 7 receptions, 87 yards. It's crazy what happens when you start getting him the ball. He is an absolute freak of nature athletically. Hopefully they continue to do that because that can only do good things for the offense. Also, Bijan Robinson, he makes at least one play a game where you're just jaw on the floor wondering how the hell he did that. I mean, he caught a shovel pass behind his back for a touchdown in this game, and ultimately that ends up being the difference. I guess Young Hui Koo got a last second kick to win the game, so shouts out to the Young Ho over there. He's doing good things. Always has been doing good things over there at the Atlanta Falcons. Quality kicker. But outside of that, I mean, gutsy win for the Atlanta Falcons. Houston Texans, by the way, I don't think C.J. Stroud still hasn't thrown an interception. Threw for, 7.1 yards per attempt, 1 touchdown in this one, no interceptions, no fumbles as well. Looking like he still probably should have been the number 1 overall pick in this past draft, but man, he is looking good. Not good enough to win this game. Still maybe good enough to compete in the AFC South, though. We'll have to see how it shakes out down the stretch for him, but Desmond Ridder was just too much to handle in this one. Desmond Ridder, Bijan Robinson, the whole crew. That's Atlanta Falcons. Has not been pretty thus far. Could probably use a quarterback that's just approaching average to above average. Haven't quite had that yet, but assuming they get that at some point, they're going to be a problem here in the future. I don't know when, but probably not this season. Still probably the best team in that NFC South right now, though. So look for them to, I don't know if they're going to separate themselves down the stretch just because the Saints are kind of nipping at their heels. Same thing with the Buccaneers, kind of falling back a little bit after that hot start, but not a terrible team this year, at least not what it seems like from the first couple games of the season. Sorry, no itchy nose. You know how it is sometimes. But yeah, that's just kind of is what it is. A gutsy win by the Atlanta Falcons at home. They got another tough one this week against an opponent who I do not remember. So there you go. There's your preview right there. Let's keep it moving, though, because I don't want to go too long on this episode. Otherwise, I'm going to be editing until 10 at night. The Lions just kicked the ever-living shit out of the Panthers, man. I mean, 0-5 now, the Panthers. They lose 42-24 in this game. Bryce Young threw 2 interceptions. David Montgomery went over 109 yards, or went exactly for 109 yards, went over 100 yards in the game. Hey, shout out to Adam Thielen, though. 107 yards in the day, 11 receptions. He's been the number one receiver for Carolina when you were expecting DJ Chark to step into that role. Not exactly the case, which is not good for Bryce Young's perspective. But as far as Adam Thielen, hey, good for him for getting his money and playing well over there with the Panthers. Just, wish it would kind of precipitate into wins. But I'm just racking my brain. I mean, well, first off, congrats to the Lions on being an actually good football team. They did what they were supposed to do and just beat the ever-living dog shit out of the Carolina Panthers here. But I am just perplexed as to how the Panthers just completely overhaul the operation. You get a new coach in there. You get an all-star staff around that coach, not just the head coach, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, all the position coaches, whatnot, just a star-studded group. I mean, you go hard in free agency. You trade up to number 1 to get Bryce Young. You got this line, so you think that can protect Bryce Young and help him develop. You got Frank Reich to help Bryce Young develop. You got the whole infrastructure in place, totally overhauled from what it was last year, and you are somehow just god-awful. Like, I don't understand how the Panthers are this god-awful at the game of football right now, but they are. They're like, I mean, almost undisputably at this point, the worst team in the NFL. You could say the Bears were right in that position up until the last couple weeks. They've shown, an ounce of life. The Panthers haven't even shown an ounce of life. I mean, they kind of kept it close with the Vikings last week, but this past week they get just boat raced by the Lions. It's probably not going to get a whole lot better for them. I mean, we could take a look at the schedule. They're in a weak division, so that's the saving grace. But I mean, prepare for pain. You're going to Miami this next week, hosting the Texans, Colts, going to the Bears' house, then Cowboys, Titans, Buccaneers, Saints, Packers, Jags, Bucks again. I mean, they could conceivably lose all of those games. I think they'll probably end up sneaking one out in there somewhere, whether that be the Texans, the Bears, Titans. I mean, any one of those they could probably win, but they're not going to be favored in any of these games going forward. I mean, even with the Bears, they're going to be at the Bears on the road. I can almost guarantee that's going to be a line that's in favor of the Bears in that game, unless all of a sudden the Panthers start playing some incredible football. But there is every opportunity for them to have the worst record in the league, and if so, they will have traded up to get Bryce Young, and in the process missed out on Caleb Williams, the number 1 overall pick next season. That's got to be tough. That has got to be tough after just basically giving up the whole farm, overhauling the whole operation, and coming away worse than you were before. I don't know how they are this bad, but they are. I'm just believing what my eyes are seeing. Bryce Young is... I mean, it's a disservice to him that what they're doing around him. It feels like one of those situations. I mean, I've heard kind of speculation that maybe you should bench Bryce Young, just let him sit behind Andy Dalton for a little bit and kind of learn the ropes in the NFL a little bit more before he gets back in the lineup. I mean, with how bad the line is playing, how bad the receivers are playing, just how bad the offense has looked as a whole, I mean, you're not doing any good by keeping Bryce Young out there, quite frankly. So I could see that possibly happening. I mean, it'd be tough. It'd be a tough look for sure to bench your number 1 overall pick quarterback, especially a guy that you drafted because he was so pro-ready mentally, and you expected the line to kind of hold up their end of the bargain. That's just simply not happening. I don't know what the hell happened with that offensive line. That's probably been the biggest problem for them. But that being said, I mean, the defense gave up 40 in this one, too. And Ejiro Evero, I thought, was doing a quality job up until this point. So I don't know, man. I reiterate, I have no idea how bad. I have no idea how the Panthers are this bad, but they are just awful. Just an awful football team. And they don't even have their first-round pick next year. They traded it for Bryce Young. And like I said, that first-round pick may be the number 1 overall pick, which would go to the Bears, who would draft Caleb Williams and subsequently ruin Caleb Williams' career. Or he would have a great career and would just be pissing in the Vikings Cheerios every single year. So either way, Panthers, I'm going to need you to be better than you currently are at this juncture. And with that, though, let's just keep it moving. Just keep it moving. Colts hosted the Titans, and they get a win 23-16. Not pretty at all. I mean, Zach Moss, by the way, got 165 yards on the ground, 2 touchdowns. He has been playing out of his mind in that Shane Steichen offense. And, by the way, more news for the Colts. There's a bunch of news for the Colts in this game. Not a whole lot of great news for the Titans, quite frankly. Ryan Tannehill, no touchdowns, 1 interception in this game. Back to bad Ryan Tannehill. Also, threw for 264 yards. 140 of those were to DeAndre Hopkins alone. So that should tell you pretty much how the Titans offense is going. Not awesome right now, and that was kind of what we expected coming in. Why is my nose this itchy? It needs to stop. Stop it, nose. Stop being itchy. I would appreciate it if you just stopped. I can't look at my nose unless I just go cross-eyed and say, hey, stop that. Stop that, nose. You stop that right now. You're continuing to itch, and I don't appreciate that. But back to the Titans and Colts, mostly just the Colts. Titans are kind of what we expected them, or what I expected them to be. Not a good roster, but you got Mike Vrabel, so you're going to be scrappy, and you're going to be in some games that you just were not expected to be in. The Colts, though, couple things. First off, Zach Moss still doing very well. Jonathan Taylor off the pup list, and brand spanking new $42 million $42 million deal over 3 years, $26.5 million of it guaranteed after all the hullabaloo and all that stuff going on in the offseason, all the harsh rhetoric back and forth from Jim Irsay to Jonathan Taylor's camp to all this requesting a trade, ends up working out in the end. JT gets $14 million a year, setting the running back market. Well, actually, I don't know what Christian McCaffrey's deal is, but I think that kind of sets the market. Either way, getting big time money when running backs are not getting a whole lot of money at this current juncture. So good for him. He did not hardly play at all in this game. He's still working his way back from the phantom injury he suffered going into training camp and lingered up until now, I suppose. I think he'll probably be ingratiated more and more into that offense going forward. They're going to need him to because Anthony Richardson, for I believe like the 4th time this season, went out with an injury. This time it's going to be serious enough to land him on the IR. He got like a grade 3, I want to say, AC joint sprain, which is going to sideline him for a little bit. It means Gardner Minshew is going to start for at least the next 4 weeks, given that Anthony Richardson is on IR. And Gardner Minshew is a good enough backup to where they can still win games in Richardson's absence, but 4 injuries in 4 games, you just gotta find a way to keep him out of harm's way where you can. On Shane Steichen's side and on Anthony Richardson's side, you gotta start sliding, son. You gotta start sliding before you really have an irreversible sort of injury, because this is not a sustainable way for him to play at this current juncture. It's just not. It's not sustainable. Like I said, I mean, he didn't. He's looked really good when he's out there thus far, is what I'm trying to say. He's looked very, very good when he is out there, but he just has not been out there enough. And I mean, he started out really well in this game, but you leave with a shoulder injury, and then it's just all over from there. Colts still get the win. Gardner Minshew, like I said, still a quality backup quarterback, probably the best backup quarterback in the entire league, but Anthony Richardson has been, I mean, he's a spectacular prospect. He needs to find a way to stay out of harm's way, to slide specifically, and to, I mean, just stay on the field. That's the main thing. Quarterback's health is more important than just about any other position, especially for elite quarterbacks, because, or at least just promising young quarterbacks, because if you don't stay in the lineup, the team doesn't really have a great chance to win without you. And they're lucky they got Gardner Minshew in there to steady the ship and still keep the team in a winning position, which I think he will do going forward. But it's just, you're going to need Anthony Richardson at some point during the stretch run. You're going to need him to stay healthy. Just hope he finds a way to do so going forward, because he's an electric athlete. He's every bit of the athlete that Josh Allen is. I mean, arm strength-wise, speed, strength. I mean, his athletic comp was Khalil Mack and Vernon Davis coming out from the combine. That should tell you pretty much all you need to know about this dude's athleticism at this point. But Got to find a way to harness that and not just totally throw himself into harm's way. Not everyone can be Josh Allen playing like a wild man and not getting seriously injured in the process. Anthony Richardson got to kind of, chill it out a little bit at the end of runs. During runs, do what you got to do, get the yards you need, but avoid big head-on collisions. That's the main thing. You can't be having those and expect to have long-term health in the league, especially at the quarterback position. I assume that's going to be an emphasis basically the whole time that he's gone right now. Probably just telling him, hey, whenever you come back, we're going to need you to change a little bit of the way you finish runs. Not the way that you start the runs, but the way you finish runs for sure. Don't need to spend too much time on that, though. Otherwise, we're going to go for an hour 40 like we did with the college football episode. So we'll move on from there. Dolphins get a big win over the Giants, 31-16. Giants are putrid. They're really the only team that I would say is in that class with the Panthers right now, as far as being just a sad football team with no hope at any juncture. Their one win was against the Arizona Cardinals, and they needed to come back in the final minutes to win against the Arizona Cardinals, a bad Cardinals team at that. I mean, the offensive line's a disaster. Daniel Jones has looked awful this season. Saquon Barkley's got that high ankle sprain that's lingering, has kept him out of the lineup for, I think, 2 or 3 straight weeks at this point. Just not good. Not good for the Giants. They're going to be right there at the top of the draft this year. It seems like almost an inevitability. Vikings might be right there with them, but one thing at a time, I suppose. Devon Achane, he just continues to absolutely explode. I mean, 11 carries for 151 yards in this game and a touchdown. Unfortunately, got some sort of knee injury that's put him on IR. He'll be out for the next 4 weeks at least. Good news, though, you get Jeff Wilson back off the IR, so you still got a two-headed monster back there with Raheem Mostert and Jeff Wilson. Just you can figure out how to do that rotation whenever Achane gets back in the next 4 weeks or so. They'll figure that out. Achane's still probably going to be the number one when he comes back just because he is that electric of an athlete. Also, by the way, I'm going to stop off here for a second. This is 2 years in a row now where my favorite player coming into the draft was Tariq Woolen last year, Devon Achane this year. Turned out to be absolute stars in the league, and they were both mid-round draft picks. So, am I an expert scout? People are saying. Who are these people? I don't know, but people are saying that I might be an expert scout over here. But that's neither here nor there. I mean, hopefully he gets back sooner rather than later. Hopefully it's not the most serious knee injury in the world, but it was serious enough to get him on IR, so get well soon. Dolphins keep rolling, though, 31-16 over the Giants, who are just looking for answers right now, and they are not finding any anywhere they look. So, continuing on, another team that's looked just putrid so far this season. Patriots get blanked, shut out 34-0 by the New Orleans Saints. Wasn't pretty on offense for the Saints, but ultimately end up scoring 34. Mac Jones helps out, throws a pick six for him. Gets benched later in the game once again, 2 weeks in a row now that Mac Jones has been benched. Bill Belichick says he's going to start again next week. I have no reason to disbelieve that. I'm not sure they got a better option on the roster. I mean, sure, you can trot out Bailey Zappi again, but I'm not sure him and Mac Jones are that dissimilar of quarterbacks right now. So that's you kind of just up shit creek without a paddle. I think you've gotten your answers though as far as what you're going to do with the quarterback situation going forward. I think you're pretty much done with Mac Jones at this point after this season, and with how bad the Patriots have been, they continue on this losing sort of streak here. They will be right in the thick of the position to get one of those top end quarterbacks in the draft this year, and I would almost certainly guarantee they're going to do that. They got all sorts of holes all over the roster, though. I mean, they got no real good receivers, no real offensive line. The defense, I mean, they were playing well up until Christian Gonzalez gets hurt, tears that labrum, will probably be out for most of the season, if not the rest of the season. Matthew Judon tears a pec. He'll probably be out for the rest of the season as well. There's just not a whole lot you can look at with this team and be optimistic, quite frankly. It's just not a good football team. They're clearly the worst team in the AFC East right now, and it doesn't feel like there's hope around the corner. You still got Bill Belichick, so I think he's probably liable to win a game here and there. Still got another matchup with the New York Jets later in the season, so that's something to look forward to. That's a possible second win on the horizon, but just bad. It's just bad in New England right now, unfortunately. Saints on the other side, I mean, they have got to be one of the most boring 3-2 teams in the entire league. Dennis Allen, he's a coach. He is a coach, man, and I continue to be unimpressed with Pete Carmichael and the way that he calls an offense. I mean, it's just not a fun team to watch. I mean, they had 3.2 yards per carry as a team. Derek Carr was good, I guess. 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. But I mean, what do you want me to say? What do you want me to say? I mean, Tyrann Mathieu had the pick 6. That was probably the most interesting thing that the Saints did. And hey, credit to Dennis Allen where it's due. He can still coordinate a hell of a defense. So there is that. Outside of that, though, I mean, defense is awesome. Offense is just it's boring. I'm still, like I said, not really a huge fan of Pete Carmichael, and well, as a person, I'm sure he's fine. I'm sure Pete Carmichael is a fine enough dude. As a quarterback, not a quarterback, as an offensive play caller, leaves something to be desired. But you got to wonder how much of that is Dennis Allen, how much of that is Pete Carmichael. Who's to say? Either way, it's no need to throw shade in this one. They get the win. They hit the under like they seem to do every single week, and they just keep on moving. They're not in a great division either, so anyone's ball game down there in the NFC South. Atlanta's probably a little bit better overall team, but the Saints, they are right there in the thick of things. Same thing with the Bucs right now. The only team that's really out of it is the Panthers because they're just a god-awful football team. But have to update that division race as it goes. We'll keep it moving from here. Ravens Steelers. Really, you just go ahead and blindly bet the underdog every time these teams play. Steelers were an underdog at home in Heinz Field in this one. Also, if you just want to parlay the under and the underdog in this game, usually is going to hit, I would say. Probably going to hit most times, and it did in this one. 17-10 the final score. The Steelers get the win. Whew, excuse me. Yep, that was disgusting, but we'll keep it moving. Steelers kind of behind in a lot of this game, and ultimately it was a check by Kenny Pickett on the final drive. 14 points scored by the Steelers, by the way, in the final quarter 14-0 on the scoreboard. Kenny Pickett, though, with the game tied, makes the Randy check. Shifting the protection to the right, letting George Pickens know that he's going to be the number one receiver on this board, the hot, I don't know what you'd call it, the primary receiver on the play. He hits George Pickens. George Pickens goes all the way to the house. That's absolutely spectacular wide receiver. They need to be doing more with them. I mean, if you just looked at Matt Canada's facial expression, you'd think his dog just died live on the field right before his eyes. He did not react at all like someone scored a game-winning touchdown. He looked like a family member had just died right in front of him, like someone just got executed live in the stadium right in front of him. I don't know what the deal was with that. I don't know if he was just doing the old stoic routine or whatnot. Not an awesome look, though. I think everyone else up there in the booth was losing their mind because George Pickens got that TD. Matt Canada was not having any of it, apparently. I don't know if he was unhappy about the check or whatnot. Either way, ended up working out for him. Steelers get the win. They're 3-2 now with all the furor going on around that team. Still 3-2 right now. Mike Tomlin just working his magic. And the Ravens, they get rid of Greg Roman. Are we sure that Todd Monken is not just Greg Roman wearing a Todd Monken mask? That's people are asking. People are asking right now, and I can't dissuade those thoughts because, I mean, Lamar Jackson didn't look great in this game. The offense hasn't looked great so far this season. The receivers have not lived up to billing thus far outside of Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers has been really good. Mark Andrews is Mark Andrews. You understand that. Outside of those two, it's been a whole lot of what it's been for the entire history of the Ravens, quite frankly. Not a whole lot of great wide receiver play in that franchise's history thus far. Hopefully, you see the offense round into shape down the stretch this season. I'm interested to see how the Ravens kind of bounce back throughout the course of the year. I think they probably have, I mean, if not the best quarterback in the division, the second best quarterback in the division with Lamar Jackson. You got a really good defense, got an offense that should be firing on all cylinders. It's just not quite working out that way just yet. But, I mean, they're still 3-2. They're right there at the top of the division. Anything can happen down the stretch here. The Browns really, none of these teams are out of it in this division right now. The AFC North is the AFC North as it always has been. It's a competitive division, and with the Browns not being perpetual bottom dwellers, it's one of the most competitive, if not the most competitive division in the entire league still. So a lot of season left to play. Ravens are going to have to play better, though, if they want to make a Super Bowl run, make a playoff run even at that. 10 points, not going to cut it. I get it's the Ravens-Steelers. It's kind of one of those rivalries where you throw the records out the window and just blindly bet the under every single time. But going forward, they've got to be better on offense because they've just simply not been able to do it thus far in the season. We'll just keep it moving from there, though. Big win by the Steelers, 17-10. Eagles get a win over the Rams on the road at that to improve to 5-0. They win 23-14. Jalen Hurts had over 300 yards passing, a touchdown through the air, a touchdown on the ground to end up putting this thing away. Jalen Carter is an absolute madman, just a freak of nature. I understand why he dropped all the way to 8, and I'm not going to be one of those people that say, how did we let the Philadelphia Eagles get Jalen Carter? Because I understand he was, and I'm going to reiterate this just so people understand, he was involved in an incident where a teammate died and a staffer died for the Georgia Bulldogs. So, want to keep asking why he got all the way down to the Philadelphia Eagles? There's your answer. Also, Ryan Poles decided to trade back and draft Darnell Wright instead of taking Jalen Carter. So, there you have it right there. Either way, Jalen Carter, probably the best possible situation he could have gone to, and he is thriving accordingly. He is one of the best defensive tackles in the league already. Pretty much a shoo-in for Defensive Rookie of the Year so long as he stays healthy. He had 2 sacks in this game. I got to see what his season total is up to this point, but 3.5 sacks, already 2 forced fumbles on the year as well. I guess drafted number 9 overall, not number 8. Bijan Robinson was number 8. Jalen Carter was the very next pick at number 9. He is everything that we would have expected coming in. There is a reason that he was the number 1 player in this past draft coming in talent-wise, and we just saw it once again. Also, by the way, not to be too much overshadowed, Ernest Jones, one of the 2 incumbent defensive starters from that team last year for the Rams, 15 tackles, 3 tackles for loss. He's playing out of his mind so far this season, and that defense is, part of the reason why the Rams have been a little bit better than expected. Also, Cooper Kupp back in action, playing alongside Puka Nacua over there, and both of them gotten, 15 of the 21 completions for Matt Stafford were to Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua. So that should tell you what you need to know about those 2 players. Absolute steal they got Puka Nacua in the 5th round, by the way. Les Snead doing a hell of a job over there with the Rams. I was hesitant, and I was a little bit wary of his previous track record, given the fuck them picks strategy, but he has shown an ability to get some quality players in the building with mid-round draft picks that you don't necessarily see all the time. So, hey, credit where it's due. They're not nearly as bad as I thought they would be, and we'll have to see if they continue doing that. They faced a really tough Eagles team here, and they came out the other side. They lost, but they put up a good enough fight along the way. It was anyone's ball game at halftime, 17-14. Really no score in the 3rd quarter as well. It basically just took 6 points in the 4th for the Eagles to kind of pull away and get the win in this one. But solid showing for the Rams, all things considered. The Eagles are one of the best teams in the NFC, probably 2nd best right now, only to the San Francisco 49ers. So hanging with them the way they did, not bad at all, not bad at all. And they're playing the Cardinals next week, so they got a great opportunity to get back to 500 and keep pushing for a playoff spot. That's going to be interesting there with the wild card this year in the NFC. That being said, let's keep it moving. Keep it moving indeed. Yes, Bengals go into Arizona and actually get an emphatic win, 34-20 over the Cardinals, who have been feisty so far this year. Joe Burrow over 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Jamar Chase, though, he was the star of the day. 15 receptions, 192 yards, 3 touchdowns. All 3 of Joe Burrow's touchdowns were to Jamar Chase. This coming a week after, in a press conference, Jamar Chase saying, "I'm always fucking open." Excuse my language. That was Jamar Chase, not me. You don't have to excuse my language. I just kind of say what I want, quite frankly. But hell of a performance from Jamar Chase, still one of the best receivers in the league. Joe Burrow looking like he's getting healthier and healthier by the week. Need him to be more mobile, just keep on continuing to progress in the right direction. This is a good get-right game for the Bengals, a game they needed to win, quite frankly. They're 2-3 now, far from out of it in that AFC North. It's a tough division. And as such, everyone's kind of clumped together at that either 2-3 or 3-2. I think everyone in that division is that record, if I'm not mistaken. Just got to take a quick look at it to figure out. Yep. Cleveland's actually 2-2. They got the early bye weekend in week 5. Yet to be seen if Deshaun Watson plays this coming week. But for right now, Cincinnati is last in the division, but they're only a game back. Only a game back of first place. A lot of season left to play. And even with a point differential of, like, I think it's minus 31 so far on the season. Only 3-2. They got a lot of season left to play right now. So have to see where it goes from here. Good bounce back win by the Cincinnati Bengals, though. I mean, Joe Burrow still not pushing the ball down the field really, outside of his completions to Jamar Chase, but looking better each week, and that's really all you can ask for at this particular junction. They should still be right in it at the end of the season. I'm not going to guarantee it, but they should still be right in it. Cardinals, maybe they're coming back down to earth a little bit after that. I don't want to say torrid start. They didn't necessarily play well. I mean, they beat the hell out of the Cowboys. Outside of that, though, not really. They didn't get any wins out of those close early games, but who's to say? Also, by the way, I kind of just glossed over it with the Rams before, but I'm just gonna say it now while it's in my head. Van Jefferson kind of fallen by the wayside in that offense, especially with the emergence of Puka Nacua. He gets traded from the Rams to the Falcons for late draft compensation, like 2025 too at that. So basically just like need this guy out of the building, don't necessarily see him in the future, so get whatever salvage value you can for him and then just keep it moving from there. I think it's a good pickup actually by the Falcons. That's the team I was thinking of there. Provides a little bit more of a deep threat that they haven't had too much this year. Good straight line runner, a bit of inconsistent with the hands at times, but provides a different aspect of the different element, if you will, for this team that they haven't had between, they got a lot of big physical receivers like Drake London, Jonnu Smith, Kyle Pitts have kind of filled that role. Having a guy like Van Jefferson in there kind of, provides a little bit more verticality to the offense. Kind of like that, especially for what they gave up for him. I think that's a sneaky sort of impact trade there, unless Van Jefferson just completely falls by the wayside, which I don't think you trade for him if you are going to fall by the wayside. But there you go. Also, while I'm thinking of it, we're just going to kind of take a little quick intermission of going down the schedule here. Chase Claypool, kind of a bit of a nothing burger here, but he got traded to the Miami Dolphins last week. It was pretty clear that he was never going to play for the Chicago Bears again after being a little bit too honest in a presser. Saying that when being asked, are your talents being used properly, he just straight up said no. After that, he was asked to stay home, and then eventually they found a trade partner. Now he's in Miami. We'll have to see if he plays in Miami. I doubt he's going to really crack the road. I mean, they've got, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Cedric Wilson's even getting involved there as well. I don't really know where Chase Claypool fits in there. He might be bouncing in and out of the practice squad type of guy, unless Mike McDaniel surprises me. Probably wouldn't have traded. Same thing with Van Jefferson. Probably wouldn't have traded for him if he didn't see a bit of a role for him in this offense. But that's kind of just is what it is right now. I don't see it being a big impact, but it's news, so gotta say it. Let's keep it moving, though. Let's just keep it moving. We got a couple more games here, 4 actually to be exact, before we get into the preview of Week 6. The Jets go into Denver, get a win over the Broncos, not without cost. Elijah Vera Tucker, he tore his triceps in Denver last season. This year he tears his Achilles. Denver, just a cursed place for Elijah Vera Tucker, and he's out for the season, which is really, he was the glue holding together the interior of that offensive line, so things could get very bad. Things could get very bad for the New York Jets going forward. Breece Hall, though, 177 yards, a touchdown, welcome back. He seems all the way back after that ACL injury. Looked like he was striding out real well. Wasn't like that week 1 where you saw him break off the big run, but wasn't exactly looking like 100% full speed. He got a 74-yard touchdown in this one, and he was striding out. He was looking good. He looks like he is all the way back after that ACL injury last season. Good to see Breece Hall in there. Yet to be seen how he will perform now that Elijah Vera Tucker is out in that interior of the offensive line. That is going to be a tough guy to replace. And the Broncos on the other side, this is just another bad loss. They're racking up bad losses. Russell Wilson didn't even surpass Zach Wilson in total passing yards in this one. Samaje Perine was their leading receiver at 4 receptions for 73 yards. Not bad, quite frankly, but when a running back is your number one receiver, that should tell you just about all you need to know about your offense. This is just bad. It's just bad right now. I'm talking about a whole lot of bad teams this year. This year with the Broncos, the Panthers, the Patriots. Oh my. But man, this is not exactly how you would have expected Sean Payton's first year to go. It has been torrid to say the least, and I don't think Sean Payton likes Russell Wilson very much. He was seen yelling at Russell Wilson on the sidelines during this one. Russell Wilson just kind of walking away, doing his Russell Wilson thing. It feels like hell or high water, dead cap or not, they're going to find a way to get Russell Wilson off the roster. They signed one of the worst contracts of all time to get him in town. It feels like that is not long for this world. I have no idea how they keep him on this roster going forward. It just does not seem tenable right now. Sean Payton doesn't like him. I don't know about the team, but does not feel like they're in a good spot for having a bad quarterback there. It feels like only a matter of time before he is out of town. And I hate to say it, former Vikings front office personnel guy, former assistant GM to Rick Spielman there. But George Payton, I mean, you just gotta look at the bona fides here, man. Yes, you bring in Pat Surtain, good for you. That's a good cornerback to bring in. But bad head coaching hires up until Sean Payton, which, I mean, call it what it is. Greg Penner just forked over the money necessary to get Sean Payton. That was not a George Payton decision. You trade for Russell Wilson, give up all that compensation to get him, give up Noah Fant, have not built a great roster. It feels like if anyone's getting the axe, it's not Sean Payton, it's probably Russell Wilson, and it's probably George Payton. This feels like someone's head's gonna have to roll for the way the Broncos are playing, unless they bounce back towards the back half of the season here. And I don't see any other option other than George Payton in this whole thing. So GM very much on the hot seat for the Denver Broncos right now. Very, very much on the hot seat. Jets though, credit where it's due. Nathaniel Hackett, actually a quality offensive coordinator. I think he's done a very good job kind of scheming around Zach Wilson's deficiencies in a way that the previous offensive coordinator in New York, Mike LaFleur, was not doing last year. I mean, 19 of 29 or 26, 199 yards, still found a way to throw an interception just because it's Zach Wilson. But he's done a hell of a job, Nathaniel Hackett. He's done a hell of a job in just kind of just working around what he's got. Obviously, the running game was huge in this one, 7.3 yards per carry. Helps to be going against that just putrid Denver Broncos defense, but I don't want to take anything away from Nathaniel Hackett here, man. I think after just the debacle that last season was in Denver, from the offense to, I mean, Russell Wilson in particular to, I mean, just everything about last season, with the Denver Broncos, the coaching decisions, everything. To go into New York and perform the way he has calling plays, I think he's acquitted himself very, very well this season. So hats off to him. I think Nathaniel Hackett's doing a hell of a job there with the New York Jets. Got his work cut out going forward for him because he's still got Zach Wilson, and it does not feel like they're going to make a move to go and trade for a quarterback, which I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. Don't know how I feel about that. If I were a Jets fan, wouldn't feel great about it, but I'm not. So it is what it is at this point. They're just probably not a playoff team, but this is tough. Yeah, it's tough having Aaron Rodgers lost in the very first possession of the season, and this was supposed to be a Super Bowl team. The defense is still spectacular, and it's still handicapped by Zach Wilson at the end of the day. So yeah, it is what it is. It stinks, but Jets just hope they end up kicking it in and making a playoff run, so everyone can kind of keep their jobs over there. But it just doesn't feel like that so long as Zach Wilson is the quarterback. We'll have to see if they make a move. Doesn't feel like they will, but we'll just have to wait and see. Chiefs go into Minnesota. The refs give them multiple gifts from, where do you want to start? L'Jarius Sneed initially being flagged for a pass interference penalty. L'Jarius Sneed taking off his helmets next to the refs, and the refs telling him put his helmet back on, but not throwing a flag for it. It feels like the Vikings got hosed in this one, but it is what it is. The Chiefs end up getting a win 27-20. Travis Kelce turns his ankle, but ends up coming back and getting, just 10 receptions, 67 yards and a touchdown. That's running back numbers right there, but good on him for getting back in there and playing well. I wish it wasn't against the Vikings, but it is what it is. I think the Vikings kind of played well in this game and got right down there to the finish. Almost ended up getting one. They should have had that possession continue when L'Jarius Sneed got the phantom pass interference call and then took his helmet off on the field and wasn't flagged for it because reasons. I'm not going to go full conspiracy theorist because I find that detestable. I'm just going to start, JPA football, ML football, Dove Kleiman, y'all suck, and I hate you so much, and the second your accounts get deactivated, I'm going to do an Irish jig on your graves because y'all stink and I hate you all. The aggregation accounts are a scourge on NFL media, and we need to eradicate them as quickly as possible. Let's just get off my soapbox on that one, though. I think most people, I don't want to say most people, I don't talk to people about this a whole lot, but those aggregation accounts, even Ari Mirov sometimes, which I think is probably the cream of the crop of the aggregation accounts, they suck. They suck so bad, and they suck big old donkey dick. That's all I got to really say about that. Chiefs, though, improved to 4-1. Vikings 1-4. Justin Jefferson got a hamstring injury in this game that'll put him on IR. And Kevin Seifert, the Vikings reporter for ESPN NFL Nation, said it might be even longer. 4 weeks is just the intro out time, if you will. Pretty significant hamstring injury, it seems like, so he will be out for an extended period of time. Honestly, and it's a credit to KOC that I feel this way. I don't feel demonstrably different about the offense going forward. I think they're doing really well. He's more than even last year. He's scheming the hell out of the run and doing really well with the running game in ways that he had not been doing in the past. Not really great numbers in this one per se, but ended up acquitting himself nicely. I think as far as the actual running game is concerned, hell, without Kirk Cousins' contribution to this whole thing in the running game, would have been over 4 yards a carry. Alexander Madison only 3.3 yards per carry, so that kind of is what it is there. And, Cam Akers at 3. You know what? Maybe I'm just kind of looking at, what's the word? Not tangential. It's, just anecdotal. That's the word. Anecdotal evidence here. Just saw a couple good runs and just kind of took that opinion to the bank. Maybe it's not quite that simple. And they did throw the ball 47 times when it was a close game basically the whole time. And don't love that. Don't love that at all. But don't think we have a great running game in the first place. Not great running backs anyways. So I just completely flipped. Just completely flipped in my brain there. Anyone talking of tanking, though, anyone talking of trading away Kirk Cousins, of just going into the tank for Caleb Williams, I will fight you. I will absolutely fight you. And if not fight you, I'll look you square in the eyes and call you a loser, because that's exactly what you are. You are a loser if you want to go into the tank. We are 5 games into this season. Also, I deplore tanking in general. It's unethical in football because, I mean, you can do it in the MLB, you can do it in NBA and not have like absolutely just grind your players into dust. You can't do that in the NFL without just absolutely killing players' careers, quite frankly, because it's a more physical sport. It is a violent sport in ways that those other ones are not. You just simply cannot ethically tank. And if you are calling for tanking, I say again, you are a loser. Likely a nerd too, but first and foremost, a loser. So no, I don't want to hear anything about tanking. I don't want to hear anything about shutting Justin Jefferson down for the season or trading away Kirk Cousins. No, I still think we can go 10-7, quite frankly. It's a tough road. Don't get me wrong. Starting next week with the 49ers, prepare for pain, folks, because it's coming. It's absolutely coming next week. But I still think we got a path. We've got a path right now, and that's all I can really. That's all I can really say. We got a good opportunity for win number 2 this week here with the Chicago Bears. We'll just start 1 week at a time here, folks. 1 week at a time. Don't bring that weak ass tanking bullshit into my face, because again, you are a loser if you think that way. You can believe what you want. I believe you are a loser, and I'll just leave it at that. Kansas City gets the win though. Fuck them. Am I right? Fuck them. Cowboys get absolutely just steamrolled and just raked into the field to be fertilizer, 42-10 versus the 49ers. Brock Purdy had 4 touchdowns, 3 of them to George Kittle. Some guy named Jordan Mason had 69 yards, which is pretty nice. Pretty nice. 42-10 though. The Cowboys, after losing Trevon Diggs pretty much night and day on defense, and obviously, facing off against the 49ers, not a great way to bounce back, if you will. They're the biggest buzzsaw of an offense in the entire league right now. But even so, I mean, the offense did not look life. They didn't look like they had any life whatsoever. The defense just got absolutely put into a meat grinder versus this team. The Cowboys are just left searching for answers, quite frankly, and I'm not sure they're going to find any this year. Dak Prescott had 3 interceptions in this game, had some really bad ones throughout the course of it. It just not a good performance. I mean, on the ground they had 3 yards per carry, lost a fumble too with Tony Pollard. I mean, it just was not a good game. Leighton Vander Esch got a neck injury in this game that might land him on IR as well. Just a bad overall result for the Cowboys. And the Cowboys, after that torrid start to the season where they just, plastered the Giants to the field on their own, they have not looked good. And losing Trevon Diggs, it's hard to understate just how big of a loss that is. You gotta play better than this. I assume the Cowboys will bounce back and kind of fool some people into maybe buying into the hype a little bit more. But this is why I wasn't buying into them initially, because the Cowboys always seem to have all the hype in the world, always seem to come out of the gates hot, and then at some point just kind of pitters out. I'm not going to get all effusive about it and just mean like Stephen A. Smith does, but I will say, never going to believe in the Cowboys until they show me. This team in particular, San Francisco 49ers, has been, just the stuff of nightmares for the Dallas Cowboys. I think 2 straight years they bounced the Cowboys out of the playoffs. And then in the regular season this year, they just, again, plaster them to the field and rake them into the field as fertilizer going forward. But, let's get happy, though, shall we? I mean, Brock Purdy, 17 of 24, 252, 10.5 yards per attempt, 4 touchdowns, no turnovers on the day, right in the thick of the MVP conversation. Now, that being said, you just got to put this out there. He's not even really the MVP of his own team, given that Christian McCaffrey is there and has scored a touchdown like basically every game since he got to town. But still, it's a quarterback award, that MVP, so Brock Purdy's going to be right in the thick of things, just because, the media types that vote on this thing are just mindless sheep when it gets right down to it. But really, didn't need a whole lot of Christian McCaffrey in this one just because of the way Jordan Mason was running. They got Deebo Samuel involved as well. Hell, even Tyrion Davis-Price, remember him? I certainly don't. I think he went to LSU at one point. Now like the fourth string running back on the San Francisco 49ers. He even got in the mix a little bit as well with 6 carries in this game. I mean, the 49ers they were last week, they are this week, they will continue to be going forward. For my money, the best team in the entire league, the front runners to win the Super Bowl at this point, given only 5 games in, but they have been more dominant than just about anyone else this season, and I would not expect that to end. Brock Purdy, right at the head of that, playing as good as any quarterback in the league right now, maybe even better. And you can go on and on about the physical limitations. There's a reason he was drafted in the 7th round, very last pick of the draft, but he is playing, he's playing poised. He is playing up to snuff in this offense in a way that, quarterbacks haven't done in the past. I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo was good in this offense. He was not as good as Brock Purdy has been in this offense. Brock Purdy's just been unflappable, and he's had an ability to make the throws when he need him to that guys simply have not in the past in this offense. Really, since Matt Ryan, I think Brock Purdy has been the best quarterback that Kyle Shanahan has had in that offense, and we got to start giving him credit. We can't just keep throwing in the asterisk like, yes, we understand he's in the best offensive scheme in the entire league with Kyle Shanahan, but he's running it to perfection right now, and that can't be understated. Brock Purdy is playing really, really good football, and he is doing it at less than $1 million a year salary. The team that the 49ers are going to be able to build around, the team that they've already built around him, quite frankly, you just go look at the roster and what they're going to be able to continue building around that salary. San Francisco 49ers, we might be seeing a little bit of the emergence of a rivalry here between the Niners and the Chiefs as far as dueling. I mean, the Niners haven't won a championship yet, so I can't use the D word just yet, but they're trending towards being one of the best teams in the league and starting to forge their own legacy and a little bit of a Super Bowl rivalry here with Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs across the AFC, across the conference line, Mendoza line, if you will there. I'm kind of rambling now, though, but keep an eye on that. I mean, the San Francisco 49ers, I don't know who's going to stop them this year, man. This could be a 17-0 type of performance throughout the season. I'll have to keep on watching, though, man. They're a spectacular brand of football, just a physical brand of football, too, which is fun to talk about, but we just got to keep it moving from there. The Raiders and the Packers got into an absolute rock fight on Monday Night Football. It was bad football. Bad football. Leading rusher in the game was A.J. Dillon with a robust 20 carries for 76 yards and a touchdown. Aaron Jones still out. Christian Watson, though, 3 receptions, 91 yards. Probably should have had even more if Jordan Love would have looked up and saw him later in the game. He's still a freak. He's just faster than everyone else in the football field. Must be nice. Outside of that, though, not a whole lot of bright spots for this Packers offense, man. It is clear, just watching the Packers the way they play, Matt LaFleur does not trust Jordan Love to get the ball down the field right now. Plain and simple. The designs that are drawn up are short passes. I mean, either at or behind the line of scrimmage a lot of the time. And if they're past the line of scrimmage, they're like, just a few yards down the field. When Jordan Love did try to push the ball down the field, his accuracy was inconsistent at best. He was missing guys down the field, just like on reads, like talked about Christian Watson. He was streaking open down the field for what would have been a touchdown if Jordan Love hit him late in the game. Didn't see him, though. I'm starting to think, and especially against a Raiders defense that is not good. They are not a very good defense. I mean, Max Crosby, God bless him, he's doing the best he can, basically carrying that front seven all on his own. He's a freak, absolute freak of nature. He dominated this game, quite frankly. Outside of him, though, not really a whole lot of great talent on that defense, and Packers only put up 13 points against him. I am starting to think, yes, Jordan Love has an electric arm. He made some good plays in spots last year, and really just last year whenever he came in relief of Aaron Rodgers. I'm starting to think he might not be it at quarterback there for the Packers, which, I mean, at the very least, it's kind of a 1-year prove-it deal for him this season, and then you can kind of make a decision after that. It feels like it might be a year, especially if the Packers start to lose some games and it starts to spiral out of control in a really deep quarterback class in the draft. It seems like might be something that they look into coming up in this draft class this year. We're looking for a new quarterback. Not good over there. And then the Raiders aren't necessarily good either. I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo, he was Jimmy Garoppolo, TD interception, 208 yards. Devontae Adams was pretty much a no-show because they just refused to throw him the ball, even though he's going to be in double coverage all the time. Like Aaron Rodgers said on the Pat McAfee show, he's always open. He is always open. So you kind of just got to force feed him the ball sometimes and live with the results. Usually they're going to be good though, so you're going to have an easy time living with them. So I don't know. The Raiders, Josh McDaniels, who even knows, man? Who even knows what they're going to end up looking like? It just doesn't strike me as a recipe for success going forward though right now. So just a sad Monday night matchup. Just a sad matchup right now. Maybe we'll get a little bit better matchup next week whenever someone faces someone on Monday night. That's about as much detail as I want to go into right now, quite frankly. So yeah, I think it's probably a good enough time as any. Let's check the time. Check the time at the moment. Yep, hour 10. Making good time right now. So only 8:40 at night. I'm basically gonna finish editing this, then go to bed. Probably. Seems like the way this is trending. 32% battery life right now. How about that? Either way, let's take a look at the schedule for next week. Gonna take a look at that over on the Action Network, where I'm getting all these spreads and whatnot. So let's just go down the list real quick. On Thursday night, this is week 6, by the way. Obviously, why would I go through week 5 or week 7 when week 6 is right here? Tonight, as you're listening to this, hopefully on Thursday, if you're a loyal listener, we got the Broncos versus the Chiefs. Chiefs favored by 10.5, pretty much across the board right now. I would probably lean the Chiefs on the spread. Even they've been probably I don't know what the against the spread statistics are for the Chiefs. I feel like they've been better than usual at covering spreads this season. The defense is much better than it has been in years past for the Kansas City Chiefs. I think they win this one. I think I would lean towards them covering the 10.5. It's not one of my picks this week though, so we'll just keep it moving from there. Over under is 47.5 in most places. You can get 47 at BetMGM, Caesars, and you also Bet Rivers. You can get 47 there as well if you're looking at the over. I don't know if the Broncos are going to be able to score on this Kansas City Chiefs defense though, so I'm probably staying away from that one as well. For my own leisure, I'll probably do like an anytime touchdown bet, just get the juices flowing a little bit, but staying away from it for the most part. Another London game, we got the Ravens and the Titans. Ravens favored by 4. You can get 4.5 at DraftKings, and it's pretty much just DraftKings on the 4.5 if you're looking to bet on the Tennessee Titans. No real hard lean in this game. The Ravens have been kind of underwhelming offensively this year. The Titans have a proclivity of getting in rock fights, and that feels like it might be that again this time. Certainly the books think so. The over-under is at 40.5 in most, kind of a mixed bag. 40.5 in a lot of places. You can get 41 at FanDuel, PointsBet, Caesars, and Rivers. If you want to go with the under, go with those places. If not, 40.5 everywhere else. If you want to bet the over, I wouldn't bet the over, quite frankly. I'd lean the under in this one, but a little bit too low of a number for my taste, and I think both these teams are just good enough on offense to deter me away from that number, so staying away from it. Vikings Bears, it's a 2.5 line in most places. You can get 3 at PointsBet if you're just trying to go against God and the laws of humanity and betting on the Bears in this one. I won't be betting the spread just because, again, It's my team. I don't want to bet the spread on my team. It just feels like bad juju. Only done it once. Got one win on it last year though, so that's take that for what it will. I'm not betting the Vikings on the spread unless it feels like a surefire bet. I'm not doing it with Mississippi State either. It's just a personal policy of mine. I don't like betting on my teams on the spread. What I will bet on in this game, and what I've been betting on a little bit, well, actually fairly frequently over the last several weeks, is the Vikings on the over, 44.5, and it's pretty much 44.5 across the board. I am taking the over. That is one of my picks for this week, 44.5 over on the Vikings and Bears. I just don't think the Vikings defense is very good. I think they can probably get some pressure on Justin Fields. Marcus Davenport's playing out of his mind right now, so I think that'll definitely help. Secondary's an absolute mess, though. I think Justin Fields probably has a solid day, puts up some points. And the Vikings offense, even without Justin Jefferson, one, they're going against the Bears defense, which is, good get-right game for just about everybody, unless you're the Commanders. But I digress on that front. But, I mean, even without Justin Jefferson, I trust KOC. I trust the offense to get the thing moving. And 44.5, not a giant number. I think they get over that, so that's why it's one of my picks. Up next, we got the Colts versus Jaguars. It's minus 4.5. Well, it's minus 4 in favor of the Jaguars. And I think I should probably remind everyone the Colts have not won. Colts have not won in Jacksonville since the Obama administration, I'm fairly certain. So just take that for what it is. Generally, I would bet on the Colts in this one. I would lean towards the Colts, but I'm staying away from it. If you want to bet on the Colts, FanDuel's got a 4.5 for you right now. Might want to run and get that quick because they're the only ones at 4.5. Everyone else is at 4. If you're looking to bet on the Jaguars, which would probably be the sound sharp pick here, minus 4 pretty much everywhere. You can go get that except for FanDuel. 45 on the over. PointsBet is incredibly lower than everyone else. I think it's like 46.5 or 45.5 in most places. You can get a pretty good spread. I think it's like you get 46.5 if you're looking for the under over at FanDuel. They're a full point ahead of everyone else. So that's, if you're looking for the under, FanDuel is the place to go. And it's just a kind of a smattering of 45s, 45.5s elsewhere. But, I guess, I think it's like PointsBet's got a 45 out there for you. I think Rivers has got a 45 as well. They do. So I'm staying away from it as far as really all betting is concerned. Maybe I'll do a little anytime touchdown score if the Saturday bets go well. But I'm staying away from this one. I think I'm leaning towards the Jaguars winning and covering, but again, hearkening back to my conversation about them earlier, I don't know if they're good or not. It's hard to say in any given week, so that I expect that to continue here, and as such, staying away from it, staying away. Bengals are favored by 2.5 versus the Seahawks. You can get 2.5 at MGM, Caesars, and those are the two. It's 3 everywhere else, so if you're trying to bet on the Seahawks, just everywhere except for MGM and Caesars right now. You can go get that plus 3. I think it's a pretty even matchup right here. I have no real great feel on who's going to end up winning or covering in this game. I think the Seahawks have played very well this year. The Bengals have been up and down, kind of herky-jerky. They had a good game last week against the Cardinals, but it was against the Cardinals. It's not like the Cardinals are a bunch of world beaters. They've been scrappy this year, but they're not world beaters. And Seattle's got a tougher defense than the Cardinals as well. So I have no great feel on this game. I don't have any great feel on the over-under either. It's 45 as of right now. You can get 45.5 if you're trying to bet the under at FanDuel at the moment. They're the only ones with 45.5. So if you're trying to bet the under, just go to FanDuel. That's the way to go. 45 everywhere else, and I don't have a great feel on that one either. I think it's one of those games. The Bengals have been so inconsistent on offense. I want to stay away from the over-unders on them as much as humanly possible, quite frankly. The Dolphins are favored by 13.5 at home versus the Panthers. And I'm not going to make it an official pick just because I think the number is really big. But with my own hard-earned money, I think I will end up betting on the 13.5 for the Dolphins. I just think the Panthers are so bad that you at Vegas cannot responsibly set a line large enough to account for how bad the Panthers are right now. So it's minus 13.5. I'm not making it an official bet because it's a big old spread. But with my own hard-earned money on my own time, good chance I end up taking that at the end of the day. 48.5. If I had the over under, by the way, that's 48.5 across the board. If I had any faith in the Panthers to score any points, I would take the over on that, but I simply don't because they just have not been good. So staying away from that as well. What do we got next? Saints versus Texans on the road at the Texans. It's 1.5 in a lot of places in favor of the Saints on the road. I would probably lean towards the Texans, actually. I think that home field advantage is huge for them in this one. And the one thing that gives me pause and keeps me away from betting this game, and will probably keep me from betting on the Texans in general, is that Saints defense might be the best that C.J. Stroud has faced this year. This is probably the biggest possible interception spot for C.J. Stroud. Hasn't thrown one yet. This is a very possible that he throws his first one of the season versus the Saints in this game. And with a defense like that, I mean, the over-under is 42.5. You get 42.5 over at MGM, Caesars, FanDuel. Basically every place but DraftKings has 42.5. DraftKings and Rivers are the only places with 42.5, or just 42 right now. If there's a pick that I had for this game, it's probably the under at 42.5. I'm not going to make that an official pick as well just because it's a low number and I don't feel great about it. Might be another one that, hey, maybe I put my hard-earned money on that on Sunday, but for right now I'm staying away from it on the official picks. This one I did have an official pick on, and I think I got it. I want to say I got it before the line moved. Let me take a look. It's the 49ers versus the Browns. 49ers are on the road. And yes, I did get it before the line moved. I got the 49ers at -5.5. That is now at 6.5. Trending towards 7, actually. It's 7 in most places. FanDuel's still got a 6.5. So if you want to bet on it, if you want to ride with me, probably go with FanDuel right now. I just think the 49ers are an unstoppable juggernaut. I got them at 5.5 just because I was very early on this and I felt very good about it, the pick. So I went right ahead and got her done. This 49ers team, they're the best team in the league. The Browns are solid. They're not bad, but they're just running into a buzzsaw right now. I think the defense is going to smother Deshaun Watson or Dorian Thompson-Robinson, no matter who they got in the game. And I just think the 49ers are going to pull away and win this one by a fairly comfortable margin. So yeah, -5.5, 49ers. That is one of my bets this week. Commanders visiting the Falcons. Also, by the way, 37.5. It's kind of a mixed bag. It's either 37 or 37.5 based on what you're looking for. For the 49ers and Browns over under, by the way, kind of just jumped around a little bit on you on that one. Way too low of a number for me to place any action on, so staying away from that one entirely. Commanders at the Falcons. Falcons favored by 2.5. This is another one that I just kind of waffle back and forth on, but I mean, Desmond Ridder, undefeated at home, -2.5. A struggling Commanders team on the road. Give me the Falcons. Give me the Falcons -2.5. That's another official bet for me as well. And that's 2.5 pretty much across the board, pretty much no matter where you go. Books seem to be pretty much in lockstep on that one. Over-under is 42.5. Never ever betting an over/under on the Falcons, quite frankly. I don't know what to get from them on a given week. They run the ball so much and take the air out of the ball so much that you can't trust them to put up big scoring numbers. And on the other side, they control the clock so much and they run so much clock. It's hard to score on the other side. So I'm staying away from the over/under. If you want to bet the over/under. Pretty much the only place you're getting a 42 is at Rivers. Everywhere else is 42.5 right now. So if you want to bet the over, go to Rivers. If you're trying to bet the under, just go literally anywhere else. What else we got? Moving on to the 4 o'clock games. Patriots are facing off against the Raiders. That's a sad matchup right there. It's 3s across the board, -3 in favor of the Raiders at home. Just no great lean on this one. I could see the Raiders winning. I think they probably have a little bit better team overall. But also the Patriots got Bill Belichick playing against one of his former disciples. I never know how those things are going to turn out, so I'm staying away from that. Over-under's 41.5, and that's across the board. I guess Rivers has got a 41. So if you want to bet the over for whatever reason, go to Rivers. I would probably lean the under just based on the way that the Patriots want to play and the Raiders have been playing. I don't necessarily see a high scoring game in this one, but I'm staying away just because it's a low number. Excuse me. I've been gassy as hell today, man. I'll tell you what. Lions currently favored by 3 on the road in most places. You can get a 3.5 at points bets, Caesars, and Rivers if you're trying to bet on the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers have been just scrappy enough this year that I'm staying away from that one. I might end up betting on this game with my own hard-earned money, like I've said a couple times here. If I did, I would bet on the Lions, so take that for what it is. Lions have been playing very well. They're one of the best teams in the NFC right now. They're certainly living up to billing coming into the season as the best team in the NFC North right now. I think it's pretty clear to see at this point. Buccaneers, they've been scrappy this year. Baker Mayfield's been playing well. Got injuries in the secondary for the Lions. I'm staying away from it on an official perspective, but no promises that I won't put my own hard-earned money on it. Oh, we're in battery saver mode, are we? Feels like it's time for me to plug in my laptop before this whole recording just gets corrupted. There we go. We're back on schedule, baby. All right, the over under, it's 43.5 across the board for the Lions Buccaneers. There's 43.5 across the board. No lean either way. I guess I'd probably lean the over 43.5. Lions can score some damn points, man. I'll tell you what. So I guess I'd lean the over, but no official bet on that one. Eagles playing the Jets Sunday afternoon as well. And that is -7 in favor of the Eagles across the board. That being on the road. No great lean on this one. I guess I would lean the Eagles just because they're a clearly better team than the Jets right now. But the Jets have a very good defense and an offense that can take the air out of the ball. So anything can happen. I don't expect the Jets to win this game, but could end up keeping it close. And as such, I'm not making an official bet on this game. Just staying away from it. It's also over under, I think 41s across the board as well. Yep, that is correct. So yeah, no real lean on this one either. Could go over, could go under. I honestly don't know. I think the Eagles win. I don't know if they cover though. So just not entirely sure on that. What else we got? My goodness, I just put that back on my screen. There we go. Cardinals facing off against the Rams. Rams are favored by 7 right now, and I would lean towards the Cardinals on this one, quite frankly. I know it's an interdivisional matchup. I know the Rams have kind of owned the Cardinals really since Cliff Kingsbury got to town, and probably even before that, quite frankly. But just in the recent memory, I know Sean McVay kind of owned Cliff Kingsbury. Wasn't I just don't feel very confident about this, and I don't feel like putting my hard-earned money on the Cardinals, at least in a public sense. Another game where I might just end up throwing caution to the wind and putting money on the +7 with my own dollars, but not putting someone else's dollars on. I got a fiduciary responsibility to keep your money safe, and as such, will not be placing money on this game. Over/under is 48.5 in most places. You can get a 48 at points bet if you are so inclined. Staying away from that one as well. I don't know if the Cardinals can score on this Rams defense, and as such, it needs 2 parties to tango here on the over, and I'm staying away from it. Bills are favored by 14 on Sunday Night Football against the Giants. That's gross. That's disgusting. Hate to see that on national television, but we're gonna be forced to. Like Bird Box, that guy just holding the woman's eyes open. That's gonna be the NFL with us, making us watch the Giants just get pummeled by the Bills on Sunday Night Football. That's what I am expecting, and as such, I probably lean -14 for the Bills. I'm not putting any money on that though. I don't feel, again, too big of a number. Things could go haywire very easily, and the Bills not get that. So again, staying away. 44.5 in most places on the over/under. You can get a 45 at Caesars right now, and points bet as well, or not points bet. Bet Rivers. That's the one where you can get it right now. Yeah, staying away from that one. I again don't think the Giants can score And I don't think the Bills are going to score 40. I think they'll probably score some points, but I don't know if they're going to score 40, so I'm going to stay away from that one as well. Just an abomination to have on national television in a night game. Just God have mercy on your soul if you end up trying to watch that one. Cowboys, Chargers on Monday night. This one should be a fun one. This should be a fun one. It's -2 or 2.5, kind of depends on where you go. If you're betting on the Cowboys, -2 you can get at the DraftKings points bets. DraftKings and points bet are the ones that have the -2. 2.5 if you're looking to bet on the Chargers and the +2.5. That is pretty much everywhere else. Everywhere else has got a +2.5 right now. So I don't have a great lean on the spread. I guess I would probably lean slightly in favor of the Cowboys, just because the Chargers have proven to be a wholly unreliable football team in doing anything you want them to do, quite frankly, outside of score points and have Justin Herbert look spectacular. That's at least got at least that going for him. Outside of that, though, I have zero trust in this football team, so I'm probably leaning the Cowboys in this one, who I don't have a whole lot of trust in them either, but I have slightly more trust than I have in the Cardinals, so take that for what it is. Over-under, it's 50.5 in most places. You can get a 51 at Caesars. Points bets, and that's it. That's the only place you can get a 51. If you're looking to bet the under, I would lean the over in this one, just because neither defense has been playing particularly great. The Chargers defense has been playing outright bad. Might be a fun game on Monday night. Might be a bit of a shootout. I like the Monday night matchup. I hate the Sunday night matchup, but I really like the Monday night matchup with the Cowboys and Chargers. That should be good television when it's all said and done. But there you have it. Let's recap the bets. Got a couple more on college football as well, but let's just recap what we got. USC Notre Dame over 62. Already got that in the books on the Tuesday episode. Oregon Washington over 67.5. Also got that in on the Tuesday episode. And Duke -3.5. Got that in on the Tuesday episode. Here are the new ones we got. One new one in college football. Got Iowa at +10. That finally moved off from 9.5 to up to 10. So we're taking Iowa +10. I just think that's too many points. I don't think Wisconsin is that much better, and I think Iowa is going to make that a rock fight this weekend. So taking Iowa on the +10. Bears, Vikings over 44.5. Niners -5.5, and Falcons -2.5. Another 7-bet slate. And feeling good about it, folks. Feeling very, very good about it. I also felt good about it last week, though, so have to see if it works out. With that said, though, thank you so much for tuning in to Unqualified Analysis. We do this twice a week. College football on Tuesdays, the NFL on Thursdays. If you enjoy the show, like, subscribe, do all that sort of thing. Wherever you're listening to this, Apple, YouTube, Spotify, all those sorts of places, just go ahead, hit that subscribe button, share, help me grow this thing a little bit. Follow me on Twitter, X, whatever the hell that stupid app is called, at Caleb Verzak, link down in the description so you have to spell my fucked up Eastern Bloc name. If you want to go with an email, shoot me an email at unqualifiedanalysis@gmail.com, or just shoot me a DM on Twitter. I'll probably be more responsive to that anyways. Outside of that, trying to think if there's anything else to get to. Nope, I think that's it. Thank you for tuning in to Unqualified Analysis. As always, I got no clue what I am talking about. But one thing I learned this week, and this is legit. This isn't just a fib, and I learned this a month ago, and now I'm bringing it up on the podcast. I legitimately learned this week. The Knights Templar, the villains from the Assassin's Creed games, as you may know them, they were so wealthy at their height as an organization that they literally bought the island of Cyprus from King Richard I of England. Literally bought the whole island out from under him. Crazy amounts of wealth there. That being said, thanks for tuning in. It's 9 o'clock and I got to keep editing. So, deuces.